So I'd like to welcome you all here to Girls Government 2016. There was, of course, another group in this space this morning, and there are over 60 girls taking part this year. I believe 5 different members of provincial parliament are taking part in leading girls' government groups in their ridings. So this is an idea that started 8 years ago in Parkdale High Park and has spread across the province. We're very proud today to have 2 schools. We've got Humbercrest Public School here, and we've got St. James Catholic School here. So we've got both schools in the house and girls that took part in the program. The girls debate their topic, first of all. They have to convince each other this is the topic they want to see pursued. And then they meet with a cabinet minister. You're going to hear about that. And the topics that won this year were the gender gap, pay equity, the fact that women make less than men, and also the refugee and immigration issue. Of course, with Syrian refugees, that's become a hot topic. So I want to introduce to you our panelists from both schools. We have Kiara Charles and Lucy Hanna. We have Jennifer Aguilar and Emma Stewart-Kiss on immigration, and Kiara and Lucy on the wage gap. So girls, take it away.
Hello, my name is Kiara Charles. I go to St. James Catholic School. I'm a part of Girls Government. I'm deeply concerned about the wage gap between men and women. It's getting more popular. Women get paid less than men for the same job, but if they're both doing the same job, why should one get paid more? Wage gap is calculated by comparing the average earnings of all working men to all working women. Men get promoted faster than women, and that women report negative feelings about job satisfaction. Women tend to work in sectors such as health, and if you look closely, 80% are women working in those sectors. The most recent statistically data shows that the gender wage gap in Ontario is 26% for full-time year workers. This means that for every $1 a man makes, a woman makes 79 cents. And if you measure the gap in Ontario using the full-time average, the total earnings is 26% difference of 2% over the last year. The underemployment of women to make up the major part-time workers. Women of color. Women of color are more likely than a white woman to be in the lowest earning jobs. Women of color make 54 cents compared to a guy who makes $1. There has been a debate about women of color. They choose to work in lower paying jobs. African American as well as Latin American women are less likely to finish high school or get a degree as white people are more likely to. A cause of wage gap could be the hours. Most black women take time out of their workforce to have children or to work fewer hours so they can care for their families. Today, 40% of married Latinas and more than 50% of married African American women bring in at least half of their family's income. Only 40.2% of African American workers and 32.7% of Latin workers can agree with that.
My name is Lucy Hanna, and I'm a student at Humbercrest Public School. Another reason I think we should eliminate the wage gap is because jobs don't have genders. It's not called construction for men, and no profession should be limited to only one gender. There's no reason that 2 people shouldn't make the same amount of money. Equal pay for equal work is something that we've all heard before, so why is this still a reality? If I work just as hard, do just as well, and push just as much for my job as a male coworker, why does he get rewarded and I get less than I deserve? When talking about the wage gap, there's more to think about than what's on the surface. Let's talk about single-parent families. There are much better chances that a single father would be able to better provide for his child than a single mother. Poverty rates are higher among people of color. If a woman of color is making 54 cents to every $1 a white man makes, it would definitely be harder for her to provide for her family. In what world is it fair that now not only women, but also their children will be affected by something so sexist and unfair? Another issue showing up is that girls are being told that they should be going into jobs that aren't as difficult as construction or architecture. I want to start seeing girls being told that they can do anything because they can. Girls Government has started taking action this year. Today we met with the Honorable Tracy McCharles, who is the Minister of Women's Affairs, and asked her questions about pay equity. We've been discussing this issue in our meetings every month, and I've written letters to ministers and editors of newspapers. I think we're on the right track, and we just need to keep pushing for equality. Thank you.
The other topic we chose was immigration. Hi, my name is Emma, and I am a student at Humbercrest Public School.
And my name is Jennifer, and I go to St. James Catholic School.
We are both a part of Girls Government. As part of the program, we have written letters to provincial and federal ministers of immigration, as well as some local newspapers. One reason we chose this topic was because how topical it was with the Syrian refugee crisis. However, Syria is not the only country to have refugees needing homes. There are many other countries around the world with people in that situation. We think that Canada could take in even more refugees or immigrants. Germany, which is a country with just over 357,000 kilometers squared, has taken in almost 250,000 refugees, and counting. Canada is the second largest country in area at almost 10 million kilometers squared and has only taken in 25,000 Syrian refugees.
Immigrants come to Canada for work and for better opportunities. They help boost the Canadian economy by working and contributing to the country. I do not believe they are a security risk for the country, especially because of security checks before they enter the country. In many countries, such as El Salvador, they have gangs who have killed many people and abused of them in many ways. We should let them in because it is wrong to leave them to fend for themselves in these dangerous situations. Immigrants should have a chance to come here for a better life, a chance for an education, and because they'll be good citizens.
We would have to make certain accommodations for the refugees or immigrants, such as social workers and English as a second language teachers for the children. The adults may need welfare to get started, but that money will be paid forward. Immigrants and refugees are hard workers who help advance the economy. If the immigrant or refugee does not make a considerable effort to get a job, there will be consequences. Another argument for why refugees and immigrants should be allowed in the country is because most of us are technically immigrants. Only 4.3% of the population is Aboriginal, which includes First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. So those are some of the reasons why we think that more immigrants and refugees should be let into the country.
After all, we are all immigrants.
Thank you, girls. Shane, would you like to ask them any questions?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that you're all very well spoken, and I'm proud of what you guys are doing because you're both from the area that I'm in. I grew up just around the corner from Humbercrest, and the area is pretty special to me as well. So I wanted to know, first of all, what made you guys, first of all, want to, and I know this might be a general question, but I'd like to know, what made you want to get involved in this program and get involved in the topics that you both displayed to us? Maybe we'll start with you.
Okay, what made me want to get involved in this sort of thing is because when I realized that there wasn't a lot of females in government, it made me want to push harder to have more girls in government. And the reason why I wanted to choose the pay equity and the immigration is because those are two topics that I just think they shouldn't even be a topic. There should not be a pay gap between men and women. And immigration, I mean, there's countries that are smaller than us that are letting in more than we are, and our country's the second largest, so we should be letting in a lot more.
What do you guys say to people who, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate here, who say maybe in Canada we should take care of what we have here first before taking in other immigrants or refugees?
Maybe one of the girls that are involved in immigration issue, do you want to answer that?
I think that we would say I don't know, it's kind of selfish because we already have so much here in Canada, and I think it's only fair if we share what we have around. Because most of us, well, a lot of people here have great lives, and I think it's not really fair that some people have to suffer, like, and have horrible lives and, yeah, get punished.
And just going back to one of the points that you made, Emma, is it? I believe it was Emma. It was either Emma or Jennifer. When you talked about consequences for immigrants who don't get a job or aren't looking for a job, explain what you mean by consequences. What kind of consequences are there?
Do you want to talk about this, or?
Well, maybe, okay, so if they come here, it's probably because they want a better life and also to help contribute to the country, and like they don't have to like find the job for themselves. We should help them, because I mean, what if they don't want to accept them because they come from another country and they feel like they're not hard workers as they think they are.
However, we don't want them just to live off of, like, welfare. They still have to work. So, I don't know what kind of consequences. It depends how severe, but...
But see, that's where we, I guess, get into some kind of dilemma, right? So when we think of consequences, like, does it go to the extreme of deportation, or does it go to, like, they are given more watch or given more resources in order to help them get the job or jobs?
I think some first steps would be maybe to cut down on their welfare. Because if they're not willing to work, I don't think they exactly deserve the money.
Then how would they live? If you cut their welfare, how would they live? I'm just.
They have to find a job. That would convince them to try to find a job.
I know, but what happens if they don't? You know, like you said, the consequences, right? It's just things that I guess we as citizens have to think about, and getting around these roadblocks that happen, right? And you guys being such great young minds, maybe collectively with all the rest of the girls involved, is something that maybe we need to think about, right? Before we continue on.
Lucy, did you want to weigh in at all? You haven't spoken yet. Lucy was doing more of the pay equity stuff, so maybe there's a question for her.
Sure. Okay, actually, in terms of the pay equity, what are the kind of rises and dips that we've seen in maybe the last 20 years? Because we have seen a lot more women in politics over the last 20 years or so. What are the rises and dips in the pay equity scale? Have you noticed any in your research?
Well, when I was looking around and researching, I noticed that Canada, our pay gap is almost 2 times like the States, and I think I wasn't alive 20 years ago, so I don't know exactly, but
Maybe that's a good thing.
yeah. So it also depends on like what jobs. Like obviously, like the gap will vary depending on what job you're in. I'm sure it's gone up and down a little bit, but yeah.
And what is our pay scale in relation to a lot of the other countries? I know you said that the states, in terms of the states, we were a little bit higher, but in terms of some of the European countries like Germany that you guys made some references to, Italy, France, those kind of countries.
Well, there are definitely countries like on the other side of the world in places where women aren't getting paid in general because they aren't given opportunities to like at the same jobs as men. And I'm not saying that they're not working, they're not doing anything like, but there are definitely places where they're not getting paid in general at all. And one time somebody told me that because of that I should feel like we're lucky here, but I'm not looking at it that way, because I feel like everybody here and there should get the opportunity to work in general and should feel like they're going to a place where they're going to be treated equally and as they should be.
And everybody should be paid based on their skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be based on something that we can't really control from day one.
I think that we're going to wrap up
Yeah.
there. Thank you, Shane, for coming out. And,
Thank you.
Thank you, girls. Let's give them a round of applause. That So that, you've done a real press conference, so congratulations. So if you'd like to just file off this, and I think Shane wanted to get a picture of everybody, so.